me shut my door before.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It is 6:39 p.m. on Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. I just interviewed John Benevenci with the Guam Power Authority, and now I have the pleasure of interviewing Brandon Aydlett with the National Weather Service Guam Office and Governor's Communications Director, and also the Chief of the Joint Information Center, Krystal, Paco-San, Agustin. Good evening.
Confident, good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Well, worried. I saw the lines going into all the gas stations. People are taking this seriously. How seriously should we take this, Brandon?
Well, we've got a tropical storm that is barreling in, and we're going to start seeing those conditions deteriorating as we go past midnight tonight. It's not a notable threat as we've seen with Typhoon Mawar, Balavan back in October of last year, but a tropical storm with even 45-mile-per-hour winds with those higher gusts, 65 perhaps 65 miles per hour, they do have some impacts, and so especially to weaker structures. Things can go airborne, trash cans, lighter objects in the yards, and so those are the big concerns that we have for the public.
Krystal, you just heard that, and I'm sure you guys have, or I've seen some stuff coming out of your office about help for the underprivileged people who don't live in proper structures, proper home structures, and also direction from Department of Public Works for politicians to take down their signs. You want to provide some more detail about all this effort that's coming out of the Emergency Operations Center?
Absolutely, Troy. As you're saying, shelters are opening at 7 p.m. tonight, and those three shelters, again, they are Maria Ujoa Elementary School, George Washington High School, and Talafofo Elementary School. So that's one north, central, and southern. And of course, these are to be operated by the Guam Department of Education. And as a result, there will be no classes for the Guam Department of Education tomorrow. That's Wednesday, November 13. Of course, in anticipation of the weather to be picking up, the worst weather we're expecting around sunrise tomorrow, according to Brandon's earlier forecast. So that's what's happening. For those who may need transportation, while many of our residents do transport themselves, bring themselves to the shelters, we recognize there are the vulnerable populations, like you were mentioning, Troy. And, November is Homeless Awareness Month. So the Office of Homelessness Assistance and Poverty Prevention, or OHAP for short, is working with the Guam Homeless Coalition and our island mayors. And they have organized shuttle services this evening for two of those shelter locations. So if you are in the central, you can head to Academy of Our Lady of Guam, the gym, and they'll depart to George Washington High School. If you are from Tumuning or you need to go to the shelter up north, please proceed to Tumuning Mayor's office and they'll be departing to Maria Ujoa Elementary School. And the shuttle will be departing at 8 p.m. So you want to get there to those locations before 8 p.m. Again, those shelters are Maria Ujo up north, George Washington High School in the central, and Talafofo Elementary School down south, opening at 7 p.m. Most of our residents know the drill, but you were asked to bring those essential items. Again, a supply of food and water, your bedding, personal hygiene products, medicines, and important documents if you're needing them. Again, I think it's easy. It's also safe to say that, should the weather conditions pick up, acting governor has already kind of forecasted what his anticipations are, what he's anticipating to do next, which is at midnight tonight, go into core one. Again, we want to make sure our people are prepared, and you're seeing that in the streets. I haven't left my office, but I'm hearing all the reports of traffic at those sites, at the supermarket, at the gas station, at the banks, people going to prepare. And so that's really, really gratifying as a messenger during an emergency response that people are heeding caution. So thank you to the people of Guam.
Can I ask, I don't know if this is for both of you or this is just for you, Krystal, but where are we with ensuring continuity in communications? We had that problem with Malwar where the cell phone systems went down, radio stations went down, and there really wasn't a way of getting information out to the public. Can you tell us whether there's been a greater effort to avert something like that from happening this time around? And if not, then what is the plan B or the plan C to getting communication out there if these systems fail?
a lot of lessons learned from Typhoon Malwar, right? So our telecommunications companies immediately following that, they did meet with our governor and our lieutenant governor to kind of discuss the vulnerabilities. And of course, the biggest vulnerability was power supply. And so working with the Guam Power Authority to discuss how to keep the telecom systems up. And because again, that is essential. That is essential. That is as essential as keeping the port available and the hospital. And so that's those communications happen immediately after Malwar. I can get an update before our next interview, Troy. But again, the Guam Power Authority has also issued their pre-storm measures, providing those assurances to the people of Guam about trying to clear up the excessive trees and foliage, which may cause brownouts, may cause power outages. I wanted to go back to what you were asking earlier, though. The Department of Public Works earlier this afternoon did issue a memo to all our individuals who are running for elected office. Because there are a lot of hazards, right? We're asking our residents to take down their canopies, to take down the loose debris. And this also should apply to those seeking elected office. There's a lot of hazards waiting that could be dangerous to the people and to anyone on the roads. So DPW issued the immediate removal of political election signs ahead of the tropical storm. So they're asking all of those to take down their signs by this evening. I know it was short notice, but now or never. We want to make sure we're in typhoon season, as Brandon can probably elaborate more. And this will likely not be the last time we're put into this exercise.
Brandon, before you answer that question about the likelihood of future storms, just by the way, Krystal put you on the hook for that, not me. But
Yes.
before you answer that, the first thing I'd like to know, and I think probably is on top of everyone's mind, is any hints, any evidence popping up so far of rapid intensification?
Yes, that's been one of the buzz questions. We're not seeing many signs right now. The tropical storm Manny is sheared, so the low level circulation is well exposed. We can see it on satellite, and all the heavy showers and thunderstorms well to the south of it. So that means that we probably will not see any intensification, at least in the short term, as we head through the late evening hours. But we're still looking at most of the model guidance is suggesting a slow intensification as it's passing through the islands, and then continued intensification once it gets into the Philippine Sea. But still, we see a lot of tropical cyclones. They go into that rapid intensification phase. That's about a 40 mile per hour increase in strength in 24 hours. And so that's pretty notable, but we're not seeing many signs of that. And we're, as before, not seeing any signs of a typhoon coming through our waters either. It just takes too much inertia to get the 45 mile per hour tropical storm in the shape that it is to really pull itself together. But we're going to be watching for the satellite imagery overnight to see if we start seeing any development of another burst of thunderstorms near the center that could signal some of that intensification to start up in the early morning hours.
Are we still looking at the brunt of Tropical Storm Manny being felt by Guam and Rota?
Yes, so we're working with the latest forecast track out of the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. We'll be posting that between 7 and 8 o'clock this evening. But we're still looking at the track stable between Guam and Rota. So the two islands will see the strongest winds, and then Tinian and Saipan, slightly less winds, but still, as of 5 p.m., we did issue a tropical storm warning for Tinian and Saipan, just for their presence near the northern envelope of the tropical storm winds.
Is there going to be a major pressure drop at any time between now and the arrival of the storm?
Probably not a significant one. I know the anecdotal stories of throbbing knees and stuff, and perhaps there might be some listeners with their knees are throbbing or their ankles are.
We're just old. We're just old.
But I don't think it's going to be something where we can feel like ears popping with the pressure change. It's going to be subtle and not that significant of a pressure drop with this just a 45 mile per hour storm.
The reason I'm asking is, Krystal, any guidance for women who are in their third trimester or who have complicated pregnancies?
Absolutely. Let me pull that up because I always get the weeks wrong, how many weeks to show up to the hospital. So the Guam Memorial Hospital did issue their update this evening. Again, they will be accepting pregnant mothers who are 36 weeks or more and all high-risk pregnant mothers who are 24 weeks or more in their pregnancy. Mothers were being accepted as early as 5 p.m. today in alignment with condition of readiness 2. If you're, of course, expectant mothers are asked to check in with their healthcare provider for guidance if they're unsure if they have a high-risk pregnancy. And most times while they know what to bring, here's a little quick recap. Again, bring your ID and insurance cards, your meals. If meals will be provided for the mothers, but they're encouraged to bring additional drinking water and snacks, any necessary medicines, bring their personal pillows, blankets, and anything that they'll need for their comfort, and toiletries, change of clothing, and entertainment. Because while staying in the hospital during the time of the storm, of course, you're going to need some entertainment. And unfortunately, no escorts, support persons, or children or pets will be allowed to accompany our expectant mothers. Also, GMH and GRMC have both advised that their visiting hours will be closed until further notice. Again, this is for the safety of everyone, not just those visiting, but also those who are working diligently in the hospital and then those patients already admitted.
Is there guidance, Krystal? I know you have guidance for people who live in flood-prone areas to go seek shelter elsewhere or at the storm shelters. Do you have similar guidance for people who live in areas that are inaccessible or dangerously accessible to ambulances and other emergency vehicles, and also guidance for people who need power supplies for things like oxygen tanks?
Okay, for those types of issues, the storms, how we experience a storm is very personal to each of us, right? It's like dependent on where you live, what are your household conditions, do you have sickly persons in your house? And so if you are one of those individuals and you make that personal assessment that, hey, I live in an area that's hard to access, or hey, I live in a flood prone area, or maybe I'm concerned that my windows, I don't have the proper shutters or protections for my family and my home, then please proceed to one of the 3 emergency shelters. Again, they are up north, Maria Ulloa, in the Central George Washington High School, and Telefofa Elementary School for those down south. Also, for those down south, we did issue notice from the Department of Public Health and Social Services. Their community health center will remain open, and they'll be able to provide services for patients who need oxygen therapy in the event that their power goes out. But patients must bring their own oxygen machines, but patients should also bring necessities such as water, food, and medicines. A doctor will also be available to treat patients who need non-emergency care. And if you're experiencing a life-threatening condition, we ask, of course, you call 911. But we also ask that, people of Guam, if you don't need to be on the road once we call condition of readiness 1, then please stay home. Stay home and get comfortable. The less you expose yourself to hazards, the less our first responders have to go out and make these life-saving rescues. Of course, stay out of the water. Common sense, please stay out of the water. Stay off the road if you don't need to be. Again, condition of readiness 2 at this moment, but if the weather should the weather continue to intensify, acting governor does anticipate going to Core 1 at midnight. And there's no reason for you to be out on the road at midnight. But again, your storm experience is very personal to you and your family and your situation. So if you make that assessment, please seek shelter at one of the 3. If maybe you need assistance, our mayor's offices they've been such a valued partner through all our emergency responses. So call your mayor too, that they may be able to assist or give further guidance.
If let's say I need some equipment to be plugged in order to keep me alive or to improve my health or to prevent my health from deteriorating, is there an assurance that if I go to a storm shelter, there will be a reliable power supply, like you guys will have generators at these 3 storm shelters?
If I'm not mistaken, that is one of the needs in order for a school to be applicable as a shelter, to be considered as a shelter, that they have adequate supply of water and power.
Okay. All right.
That's my
Brandon,
understanding.
thank you. Brandon, is there anything else that you'd like to advise our audience?
Yeah, I think one, just the potential for flood impacts with the heavy rainfall. Most people know where those perpetual areas that flood easily are. So be on the lookout for that. Be aware that there is that potential for some flooding, and also just kind of reiterating what Krystal was saying. Now is the time. Reach out to other people if you know elderly people who are not able to adequately take care of themselves, or at least take the actions around their properties. Reach out, make sure everybody's okay. Don't let anybody go forgotten or unattended.
Thank you, Brandon. Krystal, is there anything you'd like to inform our audience or advise our audience? I'm sorry.
Unmuted. Again, we do have transportation for those who may need transportation to the shelters. Those sites again are Academy of Our Lady of Guam, that gymnasium in Hagåtña, that will be departing to George Washington High School. If you are up north, Tamuning Mayor's office will be en route to Maria Ujoa Elementary School. That shuttle takes off at 8 p.m. Again, please bring the necessities you'll need for you and your families.
Thank you both. I really appreciate your time. I'm going to I'm not going to waste any time with the pleasantry, so we can load this up in a live stream and get this information out to our audiences. God bless you both, and thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Jesus Mas and stay safe, Guam.